and this is going to be an awesome match. It's been a long time since you and I have been on the cast together doing our premiere early block back in the day like we used to. But starting off this first match of the week here, we have Sad Boys versus Fluffy Bangers. Like you said, I'm going to give a little bit of my opinion. I don't like the name change. I like Bang Bang better. But that aside, taking a look at the records, Fluffy Bangers are up 1-0 so far starting on week 1, while Sad Boys going down 0-1. Part of it was because of me substituting in, so I'll take a little bit of blame on that. But we are in the game now, and starting off, taking a look at the rosters here, we got the legendary Bells DUBU coming out. Oh my god, the rollout immediately getting a kill doesn't even let me get a chance to finish what I was saying. But a signature pick here for Bells on the Taiko Temple, followed up with a Mako to give a little bit of speed behind it. We can see the double brawler comp already having quite some success here. Why don't you give us a little bit of input on the Fluffy Banger side?
Yeah, I mean, Fluffy Bangers coming back. They're running back the same Bang Bang roster that we got to see last season, and wasting no time getting right back into things here, but nearly going to be giving up the point, and Bells will be in position to be able to knock it on through. First score coming through for the Sad Boys, and they're going to be looking to kind of clap back in week number 2. They did drop to Cosmic Calamities in week number 1, so the 0-1 start, not what a team like the Sad Boys wants to experience. They want to at least get themselves back up to 500 here. Fluffy Bangers did take the win over Bun Bun in week 1, so they're looking to keep that win streak alive here, but already down a member. Vaughn passing it back up to Bells, and Sad Boys keeping this aggression going, not giving any opportunities back over to the Fluffy Bangers.
Yeah, and I really like the composition that they picked out here. Sad Boy is one of the few teams that can really pilot the DUBU forward, as well as the Vaughn on the Atlas midfield. We don't see it on this particular game here, but we haven't seen many other teams with success coming out on those picks. And I love that Caleb, or You Already Lose, is on the Mako. Mako has been quite a strong pick, and a frustrating one at that as well, being able to play like a defensive goalie such as DUBU or Atlas, but offering so much offensive pressure on that secondary, giving size and speed here. And you can see how well he is doing holding it down. And now on the offense, just press that space bar, hold it down, speed up everyone, and we can get on the offense once more. And the pressure is just immense here, and I love that everyone is coming back here to help defend and just seamlessly moving in between the defense and the offense.
Absolutely, and so good with this double brawler comp, and so good in some of these tight corridors here with the drums bouncing things around on both sides. They are able to keep things cleared out. They are able to fight their way back to the left side, and that will be another point over to the Sad Boys. A 2-0 start on the verge of taking set number 1 here, getting themselves their first crack at the draft. And Vaughn with a great spin there, just gets it right around with the bell ringer to be able to take both of the barriers, and Bells waiting here, nearly takes it in for the score. Drew trying to take some priority for himself. You're going to pull back away, You Already Lose, gets the double barrier for his own side, and now it's open goals on both sides of the map, but a flip from Bells sent down to the bottom, blocked by Grimella, and still hanging on as Drew tries to make a play for himself up on the top side. It's going to get moved back over, and a shot to the bottom corner. Vaughn and You Already Lose not ready for it. Bang gets themselves on the board.
Strong start to the point coming out from Sad Boys with that quick double barrier, but unable to close it out. Really good props over there to Fudgy Waffles holding it down as long as he did. But I want to give credits to Drew as well, using that death touch to pull You Already Lose out of the goal net just a little bit to help break both of those barriers here. And we can see that even with the 2-0 start for Sad Boys in this set, Fluffy Bangers are not letting off easily. Grimella coming in with a good blink here. The Rose Warp into the primary to get that first barrier. Drew in position with the pendulum swing, trying to just snipe a kill off the side. Isn't able to find one. Back onto the offense for Sad Boys. A good spin comes out from Vaughn. Doesn't connect, but almost a little bit of a misstep there from Fudgy Waffles allows the core to slide through. Secondary is gone. The expanse isn't there. One of the best defensive tools that Atlas has on such a long cooldown. Sad Boys are looking to get into an offensive position here before those abilities come right back up. But what helps more than a little bit of cooldowns being gone is eliminating someone from the team, as Bell with the DUBU rollout comes through. But the aggression not working out in their favor, as You Already Lose tries to walk up to help secure this point, but it ends up being reversed into a barrier of their own being taken.
Yeah, Bells with another shooting opportunity and just pops the special. Tofu Fortress comes on out, pushes it through, too fast to respond to, and the set will go over to the Sad Boys. Good secure for them there. Really like the fight back from Drew and the Rasmus, though. Going to keep my eyes on him as we get into set number 2 here. But first, the draft.
Taking a look at the draft, a lot of the things that I want to talk about is the rise of Knife's Edge. It picked immediately as I was saying it. Knife's Edge is one of the strongest awakenings right now, and is something that is pretty underrated, more in a solo queue aspect. People don't really seem to grasp how good speed is. Speed is a premier stat in this game, and then when you pair that speed alongside some power, 30 power plus 30% speed, it is insane. We're going to be taking a look at Bells here on the DUBU, getting a lot more KOs from the somersault, the rollout there, plus just being close to the edge with the primary or even the Tofu Fortress is going to do a lot of damage. So just some threatening vibes coming out from this DUBU altogether. Taking a look at the rest of the draft here, Vaughn getting some size on the big fish, and you already lose with a great pickup there on the dash enhance with that chrono boost, increasing both the speed and that little bit of buff duration when the Mako secondary runs out.
Definitely, and now going to see if they can use some of those newfound stats, especially that Knife's Edge. We've already seen a couple of KOs from Bells already, but that's a KO for Drew, actually, taking Vaughn off the board. Bell's going to steal it back away from Grimella there, forced into the elusive to avoid going down to that extra Knife's Edge power. They are going to be able to clear it on out. They're even going to be able to get the barrier. Fudgy Waffles can't save it with Astral Projection, and it's an open goal for the Sad Boys. Drew trying to snag it back into his own favor to be able to take another shot on goal before the rest of the Sad Boys can regroup and reinforce themselves. He's pushed off to the top as Vaughn goes into the Maximus, trying to get it back over to Bells, but Grimella interrupting the whole way through, disrupting these passing routes and stopping Bells from being able to take it back over to the left. Drew coming back up now with access to the burst just in time now. Full energy available for him if he's ever able to step near the core again before the point goes through. Pulls away, you already lose, takes another shot, and Drew puts it in there for the Fluffy Bangers.
Second time we see Drew use that death touch in that way, and it's such an effective way to use it. A lot of times Rasmus players will not utilize death touch as frequently or as effectively as these top NASL players, and Drew being able to see the opportunity to pull away the goalie, put him into hit stun, drag him far enough so that the energy burst will not reach so that he can score is just showing how to get it done. And you know Scyther 12 is smiling somewhere somewhere on the horizon as he sees that. And starting off, one barrier apiece being taken here. The Mako ultimate comes out, able to stall long enough as Vaughn tries to take the core down from the bottom. Bell's is putting himself into position. Somersault comes out, isn't able to secure that last barrier, and 2 flips available on the side of Fluffy Bangers. Nothing being used at this moment. It's just a little bit of back and forth as we wait for the first team to blow an important cooldown.
Ooh, nice KO found by Vaughn, though. Going to be able to create a power play for the Sad Boys, and they want to snatch this point up right here, right quick. Another bounce off the drums. Vaughn beating on him inside the goal arc, trying to create space for Bells to take the shot. Respawn has come on through from Drew now, trying to clear it back, and will be able to do so. The goal's still open. A barrier still standing strong for You Already Lose, but it will be taken down. A rocketed shot from Grimella down on the bottom, going to be able to ricochet its way back into the barrier. Bells trying to work his way around the Cosmic Expanse, not able to find the shot. Grimella taking it back away, moving it back into You Already Loses hands. Drew waiting on the top side. Vaughn going to be able to clear it back out, pass down to Bells yet again, but still can't find their way into an avenue to take it back into the goal. Fudgy Waffles covering all routes here, but one more shot off the core flip will put it in for Bells.
Great patience there, waiting to see if Fudgy Waffles would bait out a strike or an ability first. But ends up finding the opportunity there to slot it in. And one thing I want to point out that is really important about getting all these KOs that we see from Sad Boys is that the starting awakening for both teams, all 6 players have opted in for stacks on stacks. Grimella with a great double, gotta give him some credit there. But because both teams have stacks on stacks and speed is king in Omega Strikers on this patch, so each KO is so detrimental because not only is it a power play, but it means that character that comes back is that much slower and unable to keep up for quite some time.
Absolutely, and these points have been going long for the most part. Plenty of time left to stack on up, but during the time you're at that deficit, there's a lot to be taken advantage of here, and Drew still in the process of getting stacked up while everybody else is still at max. He's just getting left in the dust a little bit in some of these plays as Vaughn and Bells set up for another one here. Vaughn and the Maximus coming in, perfect pitch, going to assist from You Already Lose, but not able to get it into a shooting position. Instead, Drew takes control again, pendulum swing for the KO plus goal combo.
Drew has been doing phenomenal on these attempts, both on the barrier and on net, just finding You Already Lose in these positions where he kind of checkmates him, whether it's putting the pendulum swing to hit both the core and him, or if it's using that death touch to yank You Already Lose out of his net, put him out of position here. And now we see You Already Lose again with no more stacks available. Not as important as the forwards when all of the forwards have it, but it is very important in general to keep up your speed. The more speed you have as a goalie, more space you can cover, the more you can walk up. So definitely something that he has to stack up as Bells tries to walk back. Bells doing his best to live there, gets hit off the bongo, sent to the top. He actually positioned himself very well. On nearly any other map, he lives there, but because of the way the bongos are set up, it shoots him off to the side of the map, causing him to perish. But back again, like you said, these points go on long enough where we can stack things back up. But when you have something like Drew chasing you down, trying to hunt down, reset your stacks, who knows how long you can live.
I mean, this feels like it's been a tremendously long set so far. It's been so hard for both squads to really be able to close out these points. The Atlas and Mako both holding down the fort quite effectively, and Drew going to be able to disrupt another attempt from Vaughn to just get a play going alongside Bells. Really good stuff out of the Fluffy Bangers so far to be able to withstand what has been a constant offense from the side of the Sad Boys and prevent this from really coming on through. Fudgy Waffles probably had a ridiculous amount of saves on this scoreboard. If I were to wager a guess here, that number is going to be pretty high by the end of this match one way or the other. And the Sad Boys, first of all, already down match point up in this set number 2, looking like it might be tied on up. But as I say that, going to be a bounce shot from Bells cross map. Fudgy Waffles loses track of it, doesn't want to use the core flip, and we're tied up at 2-2 in set number 2.
Yeah, it was looking a little bit poor there for the Sad Boys, having two characters without that full pancake set up here. But a good shot from Bells on the DUBU brings it up. Oh, aims for the double, isn't able to get it. At least gets one for his consolation prize there. And a KO onto Gramella. We see the Tofu Fortress come out, the donuts securing that high cholesterol KO there. And now we're going in for the power play, trying to get the second one here. Fudgy Waffles, great patience there, not using the energy burst until the last second, finds the escape onto Drew. Isn't able to get that barrier, but a phenomenal defense there from Fluffy Bangers. I gotta give him props for that.
Yeah, really good stuff there. Vaughn going to have the core flip ready, though, to keep up both of those barriers. The defense from You Already Lose, keeping things safe for now, but we've seen how quickly that can turn over the course of this match so far. Great block from Fudgy Waffles, going to save his remaining barrier for the time being, and another Astral Projection just totally disrupts what Bells was going for there. He Summer Assaults into nothing, can't get back to the core, pushed through by a piercing shot from Gramella. And Fluffy Bangers take themselves set number 2. We're tied up at 1-1, Mystic.
This is such a close game. I love this when I see it. It's so fun to watch. Going into this next draft, let's take a look. We see that one spark is available there for Gramella if it manages to get its way down to get him over to a double spark. When you have 2 sparks in the draft, it kind of makes it less enticing to deny both. We see Drew taking the Catalyst, a great pickup here. Let's see what the side of Sad Boys ends up picking up here. Super Surge, we're going for Superman X here. A little bit harder Bull Rush as we extend the range of that dash by quite a bit. And Gramella does manage to pick up that second Spark, leaving Spark of Strength open in the draft to be picked up later if possible. Taking a look at everything else here, a great pickup on speed in general from the Stagger Swagger on DUBU. And then an Unstoppable, which is always an underrated pick. It doesn't seem like a very fun pick, but it is really powerful in what it can do, especially when it's on a goalie. It is almost always up. You have that downtime in between attack attempts to recharge the Unstoppable. And it's just one of those things that not being hit stunned from an ability on a brawler is really, really hard to score when you just can't secure the hit stun for that long.
Absolutely is, and the pressure is still mounting here. Drew and Grimella looking to get it into that barrier. Still can't quite find it. Instead, it's going to get taken back over to the Sad Boys. They open up the goal for themselves. You already lose, helping out with the perfect pitch. Does connect it onto Drew, who's still staggered and at risk of getting taken down by Bells. Core flip not going to save him there as Bells picks up a KO and a power play for the Sad Boys as they look to draw first blood in this third set. Pushing it forward, Vaughn goes in for the flip, gonna get blocked away. Tofu Fortress, a little bit of a non-bow there, gonna be able to keep up the defense, and now Vaughn forced back away, low on stagger, gets back to the orb in time, but the defense now gonna be in his hands. Another KO comes through, this time onto the Estelle. Vaughn able to rocket himself over, and Bells finds the score.
I think that was the first point, and we saw 3 KOs already, maybe it was 2. But already coming back to back, Drew and Grimella gone. Fudgy Waffles the only one on the side of Fluffy Bangers with a fully stacked pancakes over there. And Sad Boys coming off strong on this set so far. They are ready to go. And we can see these Awakenings finally melding themselves together here as the DUBU with his swift feet is coming through, clapping the cord to the other side. And Vaughn on the Superman is just surging himself forward on the bull rush there, finding these opportunities. But Bells is looking low, has to get that Stagger Swagger kicking in before he can participate back in the point again.
Definitely does. Able to snatch it past Drew there, but comes right back around after bouncing off some bongos, and going to be great defense from the Tofu Fortress. Bells going to be able to disrupt whatever they were putting together, and Snare Drum's not quite connecting onto the bottom, and Vaughn trying to take things back up into his favor and set themselves up to take this second barrier. As good defense so far from Fudgy, though. The Cosmic Expanse again clearing things out. Right in the middle of everybody is Vaughn, and still can't quite find that damage off the Bell Ringer. Instead, he's going to find himself KO'd by Grimella. Use of the Energy Burst to take the X off the map. Bells taking some last-second shots, seeing if he can sneak something through. Good ricochet from You Already Lose as well, and Bells really being disruptive here. Buys all the time necessary for Vaughn to be able to come back up.
Vaughn finally able to make his return. Tofu Fortress not able to connect there. That's an extremely long cooldown. We won't have that scoring attempt for probably until the next point, honestly. As Bells walks his way back, Stagger Swagger kicking in, gets to fully rejuvenate himself. But Fudgy Waffle's in a great position, fully stacked up, has the fight or flight, has the unstoppable. It is a really hard spot to score. Most likely, if something goes in for Sad Boys, it's just going to be a really fast core that he cannot react to. Or just a sly bongo shot squeezing its way in. But the offense from Fluffy Bangers not relenting, as You Already Lose forced to use that energy burst. Drew, great reaction time there, is able to catch it. Going right back to Drew. Is he able to line up the pendulum swing? Gets the point onto You Already Lose. The moment it started rolling there, I love that Drew chose not to strike it because he knew that the bounce off the bottom wall was going to line up perfectly for that pendulum swing. And we see there the foresight on Fluffy Bangers to secure that point.
Yeah, Drew doing such a good job on the Rasmus in this game. Has made a huge difference in so many of these scoring opportunities over for the Fluffy Bangers, and really keeping this one neck and neck. It's absolutely tied up at this stage of the game here, and attempting to scale into it with the X and the DUBU. Definitely a strong position to be in, but great job here to be able to keep things even, and this game is still definitely possible. But Drew already taken down on this point, will be pushed on away. Bells resetting out of the bottom. Vaughn waiting up top with that core flip available. Pushed back away by Grimella, but Bull rushes his way back in. Still does have that super surge to get a little bit of extra distance when it is time to brawl, and pops the Maximus as well. He's really looking to focus in on towards Grimella and take him out of the play, but going to be rejoining here one way or the other, just not quite enough tools to be able to force him off the play. And meanwhile, Drew taking things back out of the offense, and Snare Drum's going to disrupt any attempt at being able to take the barriers up from the top side. Still not able to clear it out yet. Vaughn just sitting on it for now, trying to buy a little bit of extra time. Going to be a flip to disrupt that death touch from Drew and stop any further combos from coming in towards the goal. Another big bull rush, but it's just a KO for Drew as he's taken off the map. Now not going to have access to Vaughn, still trying to hold on to the defense. Both barriers going to fall immediately. Grimella warps in, trying to create another opportunity for a shot, and they're resetting for it again. Vaughn is respawned, and now Crystal Thorns come out, not connecting onto the core, and Drew gonna get it knocked right out of his hands by that Maximus Vaughn. Another piercing shot puts the core into position, but it's cleared away by You Already Lose. Drew looking at it for it again, but gonna get it knocked away by Vaughn, and Tofu Fortress gonna be able to find that barrier on towards the left side. And Snare Drums once again rocketing that core off to the left side, pass back in by You Already Lose. Grimella trying to put it into Drew's hands, but Bell waiting on the other side. Vaughn gets it down again, but still going to be facing up against Drew, who wants to find these shots repeatedly. Whiplash comes on across, another pendulum swing lined up just a little bit early for the core. Takes another shot, blocked away by an energy burst from Vaughn, and attempts to clear it to the left from the Sad Boys are running out of resources. Another flip comes through, but it's another KO from Drew. It's another shot, and You Already Lose has got his work cut out for him here as it's another power play going over to the side of the Fluffy Bangers, but they still cannot push it past the defense of the Mako, and Vaughn's back up again.
I mean, Caleb has been going absolutely insane here. You Already Lose holding it down, attempt after attempt. They are not letting through anything. I think Vaughn has fallen 4 times in this point alone. But there we see the setup coming from Drew, the pendulum swing lining up perfectly onto You Already Lose. But what an insane point. That offense was just so intense there, coming in for Fluffy Bangers. Relentless assault after assault. And we saw there were so many micro adjustments that I could point out there. One of the greatest things I want to point out that You Already Lose did on the Mako is when you're holding down that primary, even if you get hit stunned, you can still continue to hold down and let go of the primary of Mako during that hit stun. And that was one of like the greatest saves he has. But there was just so much action going on that it's hard to give appreciation to all the small nuanced things that these high-level players are doing. A KO coming out, Vaughn fallen once again, no longer has the pancakes for the 4th time or the 5th time of this set here. 2-1 lead right now for Fluffy Bangers as they try to push this lead once more. Fudgy Waffles looking for a pass on the bottom, isn't able to get it. Grimella following up through. Drew uses that energy burst, passes it down to Fudgy Waffles. A good defense there, able to hold it down. The ultimate from Atlas coming in, trying to let Drew live, get some stagger back. The nice shot coming down from the Mako, sends it all the way down, breaks the other barrier. Drew looking low. Bell's looking for the KO, isn't able to get it. Tofu Fortress is down for the count. It's going to be back up at some point with how long these points are going. But the way Bells is walking up with that nice edge stagger swagger, he has the speed, he has the Mako boost to help him out. The log comes out, or the donut in this case, as Vaughn is just trying to set up. You can see he's looking for a bull rush angle here onto the net here. But Fudgy Waffles able to use that that projection just to slide out a little bit longer, and we are going back and forth. Gordo, this overtime core speed is too much. The characters are moving too fast. I don't know what's gonna happen.
It's getting so close here, down to the wire on each and every point, and so many props deserved for You Already Lose for being able to hold on to some of these points while at the power play deficit. But a nice shot from Bells, finally getting his moment with a full energy bar. Gonna take that shot to the top corner, and Fudgy Waffles not ready to be able to defend. Now getting into point number 5 here, which will put on set point the winner here for, or the winner will be on set point. It will be one more set until they're able to take the game, whatever we want to call that, as Bell's going to be able to tumble on forward, knock aside a couple members, but not able to get any barriers for it. Instead, those barriers are reserved for Drew. We'll be knocking things back on over towards this barrier, but Bell's still getting himself into a good position, taking a fair bit of abuse for it, though. Taking basically every shot that you can from this Estelle and going to end up staggered for it as Carmella knocks it on down. DUBU rocketed across the stage, eventually taken down. Another nice piercing shot lined up by Grimella, nearly going to put it on into the goal. It's now Vaughn who's low on stagger. The respawn still 1 or 2 seconds away. Fudgy Waffles is out of the goal arc, goes in for the flip, puts it up against the drum. Another shot opportunity from Grimella. KO found yet again. It's Vaughn off the map, and Grimella, Drew, and Fudgy trying to piece it together and close out the set. Grimella gets a shot up top, passes it back, doesn't have anybody there to receive it. Bell's going to be able to disrupt it and move it back over to the left. You Already Lose with the energy back and available, as well as Vaughn going to look to keep on holding on to the point. They push it through the astral projection using the bull rush from Vaughn. Bell's continuing to strike forward, takes one barrier by brute force, now looking to make it 2. It's Snare Drums holding down Drew on the opposite side. Another shot taken, but but fended away by You Already Lose with ease. It's Grimella moving into the bottom side, using the Crystal Thorns to try to push it in towards the goal. Drew still can't get onto it with the Death Touch, still can't put himself into position to be able to take one of those shots that have kept the team in the game for so long here. Moving it down towards Vaughn yet again. He continues to fend it away back into the hands of Bells. There's the flip coming out of You Already Lose, pass it down towards the bottom. Bell ringer from Vaughn, still can't clear it out. Grimella places a beautiful Rose Warp to move it on forward. It's 3-2 for the Fluffy Bangers. They're up 2-1 in sets.
Strike after strike, slowly advancing. Fluffy Bangers were just moving closer and closer, inching their way into the net of Sad Boys, and eventually, once the core was moving a little too fast, they just could not return the barrage. And Grimella, rewarded for his play in that previous set, is given the third spark, the Spark of Strength. Will not be able to get the Spark of Agility because of it showing up in the last draft, but that is all right. Already with 2 sparks, it is great. With third sparks, it's amazing. And taking a look at the rest of the draft here, we have some great pickups. Twin Drive going over to the Mako, Egoist for Fudgy Waffles here. Will not pair with any Catalyst in this draft as of yet here. Some size going over to Bells, which does help. DUBU is a absolutely massive character, probably the biggest character in the entire game in terms of raw size. A great pickup in terms of a KO there for Vaughn. The ultimate from Atlas coming out a little bit too late, isn't able to save Drew, but starting off a little slow compared to what we've been seeing on the previous sets with how fast everyone was with the core speed. We don't have the pancake stacked up yet. And one thing, a fun thing to point out here, I want to just give a nod to the the Deadeye Bull Rush Vaughn, which does proc, and you can proc, or you can buffer the X primary during the Bull Rush itself, which will cause Deadeye to proc. So fun little interaction there, and
I knew it proc to the Bull Rush. I didn't know you could do Bell Ringer as well. That's pretty crazy. But there's going to be a KO coming through on towards Vaughn, so he's not going to get the opportunity to use it, at least not in the near future. But Bells did get a couple of Rampage stacks there, so getting even bigger and more dangerous on this DUBU as he looks to chase down that core cross map. Bells coming on in, or rather that was Vaughn who's knocking it back away, and going to be looking for additional shots down towards the bottom. Bell's trying to pass it, but Grimella continuing to get in the way here. Bouncing it backwards off the drums, trying to take some of these unusual angles, disrupt what Fudgy's set up here, and get it in there. Another Bell Ringer, not going to be able to sneak it past Grimella. Vaughn channels up that Bull Rush, but again, not going to be able to find the core in position. It's Grimella dashing in once again, trying to find that core its way through, but Already Lose able to hold on still as he has throughout much of the series so far. Vaughn knocking it on forward. A core flip comes out of Bells, disrupted by the astral projection of Fudgy Waffles, and he'll be able to hang on towards the goal for even longer. Vaughn passing it up. Bells waiting on the top side. Double KO for Vaughn. He comes on in with the Bull Rush. Drew nearly takes the score, but You Already Lose has the energy burst to hang on, and the Sad Boys take the first point of set number 4.
I just want to make note, that was a Deadeye Bell Ringer proc there with double size from the Big Fish and the Mako coming in. The Bell Ringer kip will reach with Deadeye, especially because now I believe it's like 525 range, which has been slowly brought down from like the 600 at the start of the game. So really, really funny there, but the double KO coming in for Vaughn to secure that point. And one of the things that Sad Boys is missing to help kind of finalize this composition, and as I'm seeing the Tofu Fortress come out from Bells, is Bells really needs a siege machine or a missile prop to help secure that Tofu Fortress, the KO potential and the scoring potential. You get that, and this is deadly. I have a feeling that if Sad Boys win this set, they win the game, just based off of those awakenings being left for them to take here, even with Grimella on the three sparks. But as I say that, Fluffy Bangers did not like what I was talking about. A good piercing shot from Grimella lines it up for Drew. Once again, we see the pendulum swing. The amount of times we have seen pendulum swing score and take a KO is pretty high this game.
It is pretty high, and yeah, I mean, Drew's been so on point with those pendulum swings in these offensive situations, and it's been so helpful for the Fluffy Bangers to actually be able to close out these points. We've seen it's been tough for the Sad Boys to find much of anything unless they get a nice double KO from Vaughn in the midst of it, and there's a double barrier found by Drew once again. It's that pendulum swing, putting it right between the barriers and getting the bounce to be able to take them both. Open goal available for them now, but look at that Tofu Fortress getting the core right where he wants it, and Bells is going to finish the whole point right there. 2-1 Sad Boys in set number 4.
And take a look at the rampage stacks that Bells has. That is 5 rampage. He has an insane amount of size. He's nearly over 30% or like 40% size with just a rampage there. And then especially with the Mako drums just doing so much with the speed and everything. We can see the sheer size compared to Gramella and Fudgy Waffles, how big the DUBU is. It makes it so that winning your strike war interactions against the DUBU is really hard, because even if you time it correctly, DUBU has so much time that he can simply wait and react to your strikes. He does not have to anticipate.
Nice pass in there from Vaughn off of the energy burst. Not quite enough. Drew still there, still has the core flip of his own. They're trying to get it past these two beefy boys in the front line, and they will be able to do so. They take that second barrier. One last call here, though, from Vaughn and Bells, looking to be able to get it on forward and be able to take it on in for the goal to be able to take this set for themselves. It's Bells lined up here. Cosmic Expanse comes on out, going to be on cooldown for the foreseeable future. Vaughn able to knock it forward for him once again, but the pendulum swing going to be able to clear Bells back out of the midfield. It's going to be Drew taking it in towards the side and looking for Gramella on the bottom. Pendulum swing onto You Already Lose. Not going to be able to find the KO, but going to be able to disrupt him from putting that core back where he wants it. Bells waiting inside the goal arc, not able to push it through. Energy burst from You Already Lose, able to save it from Drew's pendulum swing combo coming through yet again, but it's caught on the wrong side of the drum and bass. Gramella pushes it past You Already Lose, and that's going to be 2-2.
2-2. This could be a match point going over to Fluffy Bangers if they manage to take it here. Sadbois definitely wants to go to set number 5. So let's see if they can get out of this offense here. We can see Gramella and Drew just doing a phenomenal job starting off, getting the first barrier already. The energy economy is looking pretty well for them as well, as the energy burst of Drew manages to take out Bell's rampage stacks set. Fudgy Waffle is just taking a little bit of vacation there as the Tofu Fortress falls down. But a reverse KO coming out from Vaughn, able to find the KO, or able to find the the knockout there onto Gramella, resetting all the pancakes there. Bells able to get both barriers, setting up for an offense. We still have one barrier up for Sadbois as You Already Lose trying to push things forward. A lot of cooldowns just used in that interaction there. Does not have the drum and bass anymore. And Drew able to sneak it in while there were no cooldowns available for the Mako. And this is going to be a really sneaky part. We have an offense. The core is on the side of Sadbois. Drew looking for an opportunity. Fudgy Waffles walking straight up. This could be really deadly as Fudgy Waffles has lost points in this match before walking up. But we always reward the aggression and the Tofu Fortress bringing us over to set 5.
Bell's Tofu Fortresses so clutch in this last point, really able to line them up. Got Fudgy stuck inside the goal earlier on there. Fudgy just couldn't move at all, was just completely static for several seconds while one or two of the barriers fell, and then another one there, getting that ricochet angle into the goal.
Okay, so the things we're looking for is Siege Machine or Extra Special going over to DUBU. He would absolutely love that. If none of those make it over, it's probably going to be an Adren Rush. Because of the amount of KOs coming through, but I think he's just waiting. Okay, Siege Machine is locked in. That extra 30% travel range on the missiles is absolutely huge, or on the projectiles. It makes the Tofu Fortress go that much further, and on top of that, it is a creation, so it hits harder. So expect to get more KOs from this Tofu Fortress Bells. And Vaughn, one big pickup here. He was first picked there, opted in for the team player. Team player is such a phenomenal pickup. It is, again, one of those situations where it doesn't seem too exciting or anything, but as a midfielder, it is one of those things that always try to take a look, especially if you have a feeling their enemy goalie is going to pick it up. It is so good with how fast the core will go if he sends it anywhere near Bells. And the fact that Bells is also on DUBU with a massive size hitbox, it means the team player can actually proc easier. So a lot of these small interactions playing into each other there. But other than that, everyone on the side of Fluffy Bangers got something that they wanted.
Absolutely here. The danger still going to be present of these KOs potentially coming on through, but Vaughn looking a little bit more supportive here. The fact that that Siege Machine did come on through, though, you called that out as a big tool for the DUBU, and Bells is able to secure it here. Let's see how... I don't even know what I just saw there. I think he bounced off the drum and went fully cross-map to be falling down there.
Yep.
Vaughn KO'd here at a power play for the Fluffy Bangers. Still in this, still with a shot to be able to close off game number 1 here in set number 5. He's down. It's another KO found on towards Drew, but the barriers are down on both sides. 3 seconds to go on the respawn here for Drew, but Bells steps up with the core flip and takes the first point for the Sad Boys.
I want to just point out how insane the range of the core flip was there that caught because of DUBU's size, the energy burst in general just reached so much further he caught that with his pinky. It was like 3 DUBU lengths away from him. But manages to see the opportunity there, knows how far his character model goes, and picks up that point, which is absolutely phenomenal there for Sad Boys here. Grimella looking low is going to be forced to use this energy burst if some more offense comes out onto him. But we can see Bells sitting on top, trying to look for it. A great Atlas ult there to help heal him back up, and he has a lot of stagger there. So once that Atlas ult came out, we can see that everyone's going to back off there. The strength, 174 power. Coming through on that core flip to just KO Bells. Oh my goodness. That is a strong Estelle working out in the gym, as now we have a barrier up for Fluffy Bangers, able to go a little bit more aggressive. We can see Fudgy Waffles walking up past the midfield line. Not able to secure anything, but I really like how they are playing this over and over again. Anytime they have an advantage, Fudgy Waffles comes up here to try to help on the offense. A piercing shot coming through, isn't able to get it. Drew looking very low. Bongo drums coming out. Manages to live a little bit longer, but the amount of time it takes for someone to get KO'd when you're getting bounced off these drums gives Atlas plenty of time. Oh my goodness, what did I just witness?
Oh, betrayal from the Donuts. Bells had thrown down the Tofu Fortress earlier on. An attempted clear from You Already Lose bounces right off those delicious desserts. And they get right back in towards the goal. It's 1-1. It's a best of 3 from here on out, Mystic. And game number 1 comes down to just these next couple points.
This is as even as it gets here. Pretty much everyone is fully stacked up. Drew, the only one who has a little bit left to go on his stacks on stacks here, but we are looking for the KOs to come out. Everyone has just been dying on each side little by little. Vaughn looking low. The death touch coming through, just barely not able to reach, but Drew not letting up on this opportunity to take out Vaughn. Finds the KO, uses the energy burst, which he's fine doing. He has the catalyst. He'll get the energy right back. And now offense coming through as Grimella tries to force it through. Even though that didn't work, it was a great exchange, forcing out Bell's energy burst as well.
Yeah, really good stuff here. Grimella fighting with Vaughn and You Already Lose, trying to keep the core into an offensive position. Drew's been able to rejoin the rest of the squad here. And we'll see if they're going to be able to piece anything together. You Already Lose gets bounced off the bottom right corner drum, but not able to actually push it on forward. Instead, it's Bells back on the aggression, going to be able to take that second barrier. Vaughn going to be able to bully Grimella here on the opposite side. Flip comes out of Drew, finds its way onto the bottom barrier. That's an open goal here for the side of the Fluffy Bangers, but the same can be said for the Sad Boys over on the left. Vaughn going to be able to intercept that shot coming through. Bells takes it to the top. It's 2-1 for the Sad Boys, 1 point away from the win.
The betrayal of the Rasmus Whiplash there sends it back over to the offense of Sad Boys, allowing them to get that point. Really unfortunate here, but we are on match point. But double barriers coming out. Fluffy Bangers are not saddened at all about what just happened.
Wow.
The quickest point we've seen in the entire match so far. 11 seconds coming through. We are at a set 5.5 Silver Scrapes moment. Who is going to take it on the Taiko Temple? Is it going to be the goofy comp with the DUBU, the unconventional comp, I should say, or is it going to be the double midfield Mag Souls coming through, trying to change up the meta a little bit here with Fluffy Bangers, the aggression of the Atlas that always tries to walk forward, trying to help his team out. Everyone is in the corner. Energy bursts are coming out. Second barrier is still up. Vaughn finds the escape there, uses his own energy burst. Drew just biding his time until the core comes back, but a great Rose Warp there from Grimella with the piercing shot paired together. Here it comes, the Crystal Thorns lining up. We have the energy burst, finds it between 4 people, getting the shot through onto the bottom corner, secures game 1 over for Fluffy Bangers.
Beautiful shot from Grimella, ricocheting off the bottom wall, up and into the goal. And the Fluffy Bangers take game number 1. That's only the beginning of the series, Mystic. These two are going to play each other at least once more, if not twice.
The next match
game number 1, it will favor the Fluffy Bangers. What a win for them here to be able to take the lead in this series.
And taking a look at the amount of KOs, we always saw Bells and Vaughn come through with these KOs, but if you took a look at the amount of time that Drew picked up a KO specifically onto You Already Lose when scoring a point, 11 KOs by himself. nearly the combined total of the entire Sad Boys just on the Rasmus. I mean, everyone played phenomenally this game, and I love the fact that Sad Boys brought out these unconventional picks because they truly believe that it is a viable comp to use here. And it came down to the last point. It could have been anyone's game depending on how it went down. But the amount of damage being dished out in this game, 80,000 for Drew, 70,000 for Gramella, 30,000 for an Atlas that sits in his gold barrier. And then again on the other side, 50 for Bells, 67 for Vaughn, 25 for Caleb, or you already lose. It's going to be an intense game too. We can see the next map that was selected. This is Bang's preference here, Clarion Test Chamber, as we go to what could be a little bit of, or should I say, a potential last match in this series.
Yeah. So going to be an exciting one here on the Clarion Test Chamber. This was the Bang selection here, so they are going to be the ones in theory on home plate. I see we got some new assets here, some Demon's Raw sort of themed assets, fresh off their win in Season 4. Love to see that. I didn't actually see our own faces when we first started the stream. Was still getting all my materials set up, so that's always good to see. And looking forward to a Clarion Test Chamber game between these two squads. Really impressive stuff from the Fluffy Bangers coming back off the break, looking very good as they go toe-to-toe with the Sad Boys.
Yeah, and they're coming off the win from last week where they took down Bun Bun Bonanza, who is a top team, right? This is someone who has taken down Demon's Raw in playoffs before, the last season's champions. Someone who has gone to the final stretch against Sad Boys before. So starting off strong with a week 1 win against Bun Bun Bonanza, that is a top team that you have taken down. And now going in strong, game number 1, going over to Fluffy Bangers as they try to take a 2-0 lead to their record here. With this game number 2, and again, they have a little bit of home field advantage as this is the map that they selected. A little bit more practice, or at least strategy put into it, if they are the ones picking this map of their preference.
Definitely, hopefully going to be able to get this draft started before too long. We'll see if it's going to be a return to the DUBU forward, or if maybe a little bit of alternative selections are going to end up coming on across for both of these squads. But, you know, it is a brave new meta here, right? We've been off NASL for a couple of patches now, so still a little bit of space for everything to be shaken out and find out where the priorities really should lie. And, of course, teams always going to have small variations between each other. So it'll be very interesting to see how these priorities are going to fall and who's going to end up with first pick this second time around.
Yeah, I have a feeling that some of the picks that we can aim to see is maybe a little bit more standard pickup of 4 Sad Boys, something with maybe the Kai or the Amy going over to You Already Lose. Vaughn on something more traditional. Maybe he himself is on the Kai. He has been picking up the Amy himself as well. But either that or Estelle, I'm expecting, and then Bell's most likely going to be aiming for the Julie, which normally not a popular pick, but has been very strong on this patch. One of the strongest brawlers in the game, and especially on Clarion Test Chamber, where there's a lot of side lanes that you have to walk through on the map variations, where you are close to the edge. Julie is very, very threatening there. But besides that, I have a feeling a Zentaro is going to make its way out at some point. Bell's kind of moving away from that Julie name that he was so known for and is becoming a top Zentaro player himself. So that is something that I kind of expected to be like, guys, I'm logging in Zentaro and calling it a day. We're about to see some siphoning on Zentaro. I have a feeling.
That does my heart good, Mystic, though. You know, there's a big part of me that prefers to see like a Julie Zentaro meta, maybe over like an X Asher meta, right? There's something to be said about the smaller characters moving a little bit faster, a little bit of extra mobility, a little bit less beefiness and giant hitboxes getting in the way of everything. Yeah. There's stuff to like about both characters, but I feel like we've been on the X Asher side of things for a lot of the season 4, so it'll be definitely a little refreshing to get to see a bit more of the alternative.
And then, taking a look, we do have the starting awakenings here being picked up. It is. Oh, sorry, I had to take a breath.
There you go.
You got it. The last, and sorry, I was looking at this paper airplane for so long, and I just blanked out. I'm like, what is this awakening? I can't remember. Ariel's being selected here, which makes me lean towards one thing we can take a look at is a potential rune pickup for either Vaughn or Gramella. Both of them are quite experienced on it, have brought it out before. I would say I'm not sure how confident Grimella is in bringing out the rune into a torment play, but it's something to keep in mind. The Castellas can also enable an era pickup. So although you were saying you wanted to move away from a bit of the X Asher, if the era does get opted in here for maybe a Mako era X, Mako era Asher, we also can see the Mako era Julie. So depending on how this ban phase goes, if one of the teams enables a double pickup for one of the Mako or era characters, expect someone to play Mako era plus something.
Yep, and here's Mako already getting snagged in by the boys here, so they're going to be taking that one as their first pick. Fluffy Bangers with an opportunity here to be able to take something of their choice. They get a double rotation on here. They could take themselves the Aimi and try to disrupt that combo if they want to. Not the Aimi, the Era, if they want to try to disrupt that combo alongside some kind of brawler. They could definitely try to secure themselves a midfielder of their choice as well. Castellast has definitely had times where it's favored stuff like the Now, if that is something that they want to go for. Estelle going to be the selection instead as their rock solid mid laner. And then what exactly do they want to show us here, either in the goal arc or at the brawler position?
With these awakenings, you can. I'd be leaning towards for Drew, maybe a Zentaro to take the aerials with. A Rasmus can use that either awakening just fine, or an X themselves. But actually, no, they're going to be going for a Fudgy Waffles era pick. So taking away that era, they don't want to play against it. I think that is the correct pickup, but I'm surprised they're doing an Estelle era pick rather than just the era plus a brawler. So Kai being picked up and Zentaro being picked up. Looks like we're going to get a standard comp here. No Mako era X or Mako era plus brawler going over to Sadbois. I think that would have been a really big blunder for Bang if they let Mako and era through. So I like the way they drafted it. I don't know how well the Estelle era is going to work out in terms of synergies, but I know Fudgy Waffles plays plenty of era goalie, so this is not something that is going to go without practice, I should say.
Do you give any heed at all to something like Erasmus goalie, or are you fully convinced it's going to be era?
I'm pretty convinced, because if you have a Rasmus goalie, then it would be a Drew on the Estelle, and that is something I don't see going through. But the Zentaro picked up there. I was mentioning it before the draft. Zentaro going to be going over to Bells. Kai on Vaughn, his signature pick. And then Caleb, who we saw, or you already lose, we saw pilot the Mako so well in game one. The amount of defense he let through. Like I said, this Mako character is the best of both worlds. Can bring some offensive pressure with the bass and drum, or the drum and bass and the perfect pitch, while also having those same tools to use on defense.
Absolutely. Here is let's get into draft for game number 2, or at least the in-client draft. The lock-ins are complete for both sides, and we are ready to get onto the field, onto Clarion Test Chamber for game number 2. Fluffy Bangers up 1-0. A win here will move them up to 2-0 in NASL Season 5.
Yeah, and Sadbois has to take this if they want to go to a game 3 and prevent themselves from going 0-2 at the start of a NASL. But a good pickup so far from one barrier. Bell's able to secure Grimella already down to half health. We can see the amount of damage coming through. Bell's actually not opting in for the siphoning wand this game. Goes for the slick kicks. I think it'll work a little bit better with the Mako. Having that control over the core with that much speed when you have it enhanced with the Mako secondary plays really well, especially considering that Zentaro is a 460 speed based character, not like the 450 of majority of the cast.
Definitely. And now Bell's already looking pretty quick and pretty experienced on this Zentaro. Of course, it's a pick we've seen from him many, many times in the past, but a little bit less recently. We'll see how he's going to be able to do, especially with the aerial start. Already a KO found, and Drew finds himself staggered already, and that is something that we're going to have to get plenty used to in this game number 2. If I were to wager a guess here, Mystic, Bell's so dangerous on this Zentaro pick, and constantly just finding these rushes forward. Although double barrier found by Grimella and Drew on the other side. Grimella going to be able to go in there and finish it off, and maybe a bit distracted by those juicy kills. Its first goal over to Bang.
Grimella using the aerials to his advantage so well. We saw the Crystal Thorns come out to secure that second barrier there. The extended range already showing its presence in this matchup here, and also on the Rose Warp extending the range of the missile that comes out. Estelle just makes so much good use out of that awakening here, and like you said, a little bit of distraction on the top side as the KO was found. Grimella just sneaking in, double barrier being picked up for Drew, doing such a phenomenal job on the Rasmus the last 2 games, starting off this game strong too. We do manage to get a barrier themselves, almost gets the knockout onto Vaughn with the Maelstrom there, and just a nice little Mako speed and a strike manages to put it through. I like that Vaughn recognized he did not need to use the energy burst there, and save it for the next round, and now we have a strong energy economy here for sadbois, as Bells is also close to an energy burst. The way we want to try to use this is one energy burst to either break both of the barriers, and the other one to try to score is the general idea here.
Definitely, and having been able to close that one out off the back of the missed strike shot from Fudgy, going to have things tied up at 1-1 here now. Drew still trying to get things back over into his favor, and Vaughn already finds himself very low here, not nearly as tanky as he was on the X, and already finds himself staggered here, nearly KO'd by Drew. Drew is able to step back and evade those ensnare drums that were coming in to maybe try to ruin his day. Now trying to move it up against You Already Lose. A nice whiplash combo, but still held back by the drum and bass. The Mako goalie flexing its muscles there a little bit. An Atrical Maelstrom coming on across from Grimella, not going to be enough to help things out, or from Fudgy, rather. And neither going to actually be able to push it through.
Grimella going in for the KO attempt onto Bell, misses the Rose Warp plus piercing shot combo. Everyone's looking low, especially on this map configuration when you have the damage, the poison puddle, the goo on the side. The damage stacks are quite quick. We can take a look at the total stagger combined across everyone. Fluffy Bangers are looking really low. KO comes out as the synchronized attacks coming through from all the members of sadbois onto Grimella, now trying to get around the ensnaring drums. A little bit awkward there because it stalls the core a little bit as Bells uses the primary to try to get a scoring attempt here. But when you don't have abilities, it makes it a little bit awkward. You're kind of just passing around until you have something available to you. Bells trying to shoot it up into the top corner and catch it himself with the aerial's enhanced dash there. The rush coming through. But again, everyone is so low. Barrier's still holding on just fine as Vaughn hanging out, doing his job, biding his time, as Drew looking for the KO. Doesn't have a death touch available, looking for the pendulum swing. Is able to line it up just fine. Barrier drop, and now offensive pressure coming through from Fluffy Bangers as we have the 3v2 power play setting itself up.
Absolutely. Here, Drew pushes it forward, takes the pendulum swing, and gets it home. A second point over to the Fluffy Bangers as they're able to close out in overtime, and 1 goal away from being able to take the lead here in this game number 2, performing very well on Clarion Test Chamber, kind of picking up right where they left off. Drew still looking very clean on this Rasmus, and Grimella on the Estelle. I mean, both of these two performed so well in game number 1 up against the sadbois, and they are really just showing that exact same form here. Fudgy doing a solid job of being able to buff them up, even though he is relegated to the era this time around, and it definitely appears to be working just fine for them. As I say that, Bell's going to be able to force in and get that first barrier. It does get cleared out afterwards. Drew going to be the one who gets focused on next. Flashing strike forward, setting it up for another attempt at the second barrier, but flip from Grimella, going to be able to clear things back out. You Already Lose, able to send things back away using those drums, and will be able to open up the goal with 1 more barrier taken. Magical Maelstrom to try to clear things out, but You Already Lose just guiding it in right where he wants it. Fudgy Waffles desperately trying to get back on the defense, but Bells will send it home.
Finds the opportunity there on the top. Fudgy Waffles isn't able to get the proper bounces he wants to secure it out, and on that map it really is difficult, right, with how the bouncing goes with some of these angles. And 2-2, we are tied up as nearly every single set in this match so far, and the previous match. It has been nearly identical, perfect 2-2 scores. As everything goes neck and neck. The Maelstrom finding the KO onto Bells, a really big KO. Power play coming through, 1 barrier drop, but that's okay as long as you have 1. That's what really matters here. This Fudgy Waffle trying to walk up to the midfield line to help secure the offensive pressure coming through as Bells finally manages to get his time back up. But another KO attempt onto Vaughn. He wasn't even going for it, but Drew finds it as he catches the core, flips Vaughn off. Not actually, guys, you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, really nicely done there by Drew, rudeness aside, and now going to be able to find his way in on towards those barriers, but still not able to take any up against You Already Lose. Bells slashing, striking it forward, going to be able to take a barrier of his own and might just be able to make this happen in the 1-on-2. Magical Maelstrom comes out a little bit later, trying to guide that core in on towards the barriers, but it's just rock solid defense that cannot be broken by the side of the Fluffy Bangers. Bells sneaks on over with a long-range rush and puts it right into the goal. A set win for the Sad Boys.
Just having one Dash Awakening on a Zentaro changes everything. The amount of reach you have on these plays is insane, and being able to go secure that, Fudgy Waffles knows that he couldn't clear it up to the top side since Vaughn was waiting there, had to clear it back down into Bells and hope that Bells wasn't able to get a rebound shot, which he was, and found the perfect shot on the corner. Taking a look, Kai gets one of, if not his best Awakening in the entire game here in Chrono Boost, extending the duration of the buff while also giving him an insane amount of speed here. With the double Awakenings here, the double Dash Awakenings, we'll just watch Kai when he uses that secondary and how fast he's going. He's blitzing already, has so much access to the map here with no Dash Awakening, or I should say with no actual dash, it does not matter. Kai with the speed is so hard to deal with.
Definitely is here, and Vaughn has been able to flex those muscles throughout set number 1, and now in set number 2 going to get even stronger with it. Scarmella trying to guide things in towards the bottom, but Vaughn, again, he's everywhere and nowhere all at once, can constantly be able to intercept these shots, and both barriers already falling down for the Fluffy Bangers. Sad Boys on a little bit more traditional of a composition, really starting to take control here in this game number 2, but Drew able to line up a nice shot onto the second barrier and open on up the goal for his side. Grimella looking for a shot up to Drew, trying to guide it in towards the top corner, but they can't actually shove it over to the left. It's just moving vertically up and down. KO found for Bells. Numbers advantage to the Sad Boys as they look to close things out on this point. Vaughn has access to the core flip, has yet to be able to get into a good position to use it. Takes the shot from the bottom, and Fudgy cannot get back in time.
I love the awareness from Vaughn over there. Uses the energy burst to get that point, because if he just shot it normally, it would not have reached in time, not because of Fudgy Waffles reaching it, but because of the respawn that was coming through from either Grimella or Drew. I wasn't seeing who was the one coming back up. But all these small awareness, I guess, choices that are being made by the teams, stacking up onto how these points are being played out. One of the big things I also want to point out from that draft on the side of Fluffy Bangers is the team player that has gone to the era. You're going to see how fast the core is going to go, especially in overtime, depending on how long these points end up lasting. But Grimella being taken out from Bells. Wow. Bells, who has just a sliver of stagger left, gets the point, passes it over to Vaughn with the energy burst, isn't able to get it, but the offense is still going just strong as they have the numbers advantage here.
Yeah, another KO found here by Drew up on the top, but guiding it forward is Vaughn, looking to take the shot forward, looking to be able to get it on into the goal, but will not be able to hold on. It's Drew guiding things in towards the bottom. A clear out from You Already Lose, passed on over. Bells setting up with the slices and dices. Vaughn trying to take a shot with the Giga Blast, pushes it forward. One more shove, will not be able to get it past Fudgy and Grimella. Drew waiting in the ensnare drums on the opposite side, going to look to move things back out over to the left, but it's Bells once again, lining up the slice and dice, stalls the core, shoves it forward, and will be able to take a second point for the Sad Boys.
A beautiful shot using the slice and dice primary hit, or the initial hit, to stall the core, the secondary hit coming through, and then striking it again after that. Three hits onto the core really quickly. Momentum stall. It is Zentaro's special, and pretty much everyone in NASL has leveled up to the point where they can consistently use and trick the enemy goalie with the timing on the offensive attempts here.
Absolutely. It's looked really, really good for Bells so far here, and he is one of the more experienced Zentaros we have here in NASL. Grimella, ooh, not quite taking the shot there, gets the ricochet instead to try to reset for another attempt. Knows that a straightforward shot at a You Already Lose is destined for failure each and every time. Energy bursts come out, baited, waited out by Bells, and a barrier will fall with no clear quite yet available. Drew tries to line up the pendulum swing, not going to be able to find the core in the correct position, and now Bells moving back on over into the Oni's blade, trying to push it in, looking for the slashing strike, not able to find its way on towards the barrier, and Fudgy Waffles already waiting in on the defense. Magical Maelstrom being channeled, going to be sent up vertically to try to cover any further offensive opportunities here from the side of the Sad Boys. And it's Bang Bang looking to move it on forward, looking to take it on forward, and another shot with the piercing shot from Grimella will be able to find themselves their first goal of the set.
So funny enough there, the reason Grimella was able to line up the piercing shot onto the Mako is because someone proc the middle, the expanse coming through, and push Grimella closer to Mako, because the way You Already Lose has positioned himself, he was not getting hit by that piercing shot. So really unfortunate, or really good awareness from whoever did that if they were on the side of Fluffy Bangers. But an interesting thing to point out on how that point was actually scored. But going through a barrier being taken. Oh my goodness. A quick point coming through. Core being sent around the world as it takes a second barrier. No energy burst needed as they secure set number 2. A strong start to this game from sadbois.
Wow, yeah, just looking like a different team coming into game number 2. Explosiveness from Bells here as he's going to get his first pick of the litter for the second draft, and going to pick up that perfect form.
Oh, perfect form, Zentaro. Welcome home. You're about to see more abilities being used than League of Legends Earth in the next set. As we go into the set number 3 here. Actually, I was going to say set number 4, but Fluffy Bangers don't even have a single set to them as of yet. They have a hard and tall hill to climb if they want to win this. But taking a look at the rest of the draft, 1-2 punch being picked up for You Already Lose. Knife's Edge onto the Kai, which, like I said before the game started, the side lanes makes it so that you're really close to the edge a lot. KO onto Bells there, but the Catalyst coming through for Fudgy Waffles, they're going to be generating some energy quite frequently, especially with the Maelstrom getting any random hits there. And then a great pickup on the Hot Shot for Gramella. So for the most part, everyone got what they wanted. I will say the most dominant pick here is going to be the perfect form, but regardless of that, if you take out the Zentaro quick in this set and make a power play while he's not here, you can still win the point just fine.
Absolutely. Fluffy Bangers get off to a nice start in set number 3, and they're going to need to keep that start going if they want to be able to fight back into this game and keep their chances alive for being able to take a 2-0 in the series, because sadbois have been rampaging through this game number 2 to try to get us to a game number 3 in short order. Vaughn doing a good job of being able to fend off this core up on the top side. They are able to push it through, though. Drew using that Whiplash to be able to get that second barrier, that first barrier, rather, is now the move in from Bells. He's looking for a second, but won't be able to find the damage, and in fact takes quite a bit himself, so we'll have to back on away from the attempt. Finds the KO, though, on the top, onto the Estelle, and will be able to create themselves a favorable opportunity. Waiting for the rest of the reinforcements to show up is Bells, now pushing forward for a little bit extra, and Snare Drum's going to keep Fudgy Waffles in position, but Gramella already respawned, and they don't even get the barrier off the power play, maybe waiting a little bit too long there on the sadbois side, and Fluffy Bangers now back in full strength, looking to be able to keep this one going forward.
Doing a good job holding down the defense here, but as the abilities come through, the Oni's Blade, the every single thing we just saw, the entire stagger bar deleted of both Fudgy Waffles and Gramella, as both energy bursts being used and point being secured, and that is the power of the perfect form. Perfect form Zentaro coming through, plus all the speed on the Kai, staying close to that, especially when you proc the secondary, you just blitz it down one of these side lanes here. But Vaughn being taken down quite low on the stagger department, has no way to heal back up, does get a 1 orb to pick up for his troubles here, but doesn't look like that Fluffy Bangers are going to pursue longer and leave him to be 1 barrier for their troubles so far. Tries to line up the pendulum swing, has a little bit of extra size there with the big fish, but isn't able to get it. Bell's looking for an opportunity here to either take out Gramella or get a barrier. Nothing happening just yet. Almost gets something there for his troubles, but Fudgy Waffles with a good energy burst to help lock down that defense.
Yeah, very good stuff so far from him, but Fudgy's still hanging on for the time being. It's a dash forward from Bells, able to get that extended range on the slashing strike to be able to take it in on towards that barrier, and he's not done yet, still brawling with Gramella and Fudgy, and now going to get KO'd, make that a double KO for Drew, as Vaughn is taken off the board as well. Fudgy Waffles using that strike shot, getting it back into Drew's hands, and that's a power play goal for the Fluffy Bangers. 2-1 in set number 3, looking to fight their way back in.
Yeah, have the advantage this time around, and this is coming off a set where everyone on sadbois got some phenomenal awakenings here on the draft. But as I say, that double barrier coming through, a strong start to this point. We're looking for a 2-2 going into a set, or point number 5 here, as the rush, or sorry, that's the Zentaro passive coming through, sending him a little bit further than he wants to because of the aerials there. But regardless, a great attempt on net as the energy burst is lined up here. Looking for an opportunity to flip. Gets the KO, but Vaughn is the one who manages to find the point.
Great damage there, able to take the goalie out right into the goal. And it's 2-2 now. And a shot here for the sadbois to take us to game number 3. A shot to extend game number 2 for the Fluffy Bangers. Let's see if they're going to be able to do it. taking it forward with another use of that Bewitching Beam, trying to set themselves up, score the full 7 more goals in a row. Not necessarily in a row, but 7 more goals, period. Be able to take themselves the win and close on out the series here. One barrier already down, trying to reset for another. Bell's trying to snag it back away. Fudgy Waffles getting into the Magical Maelstrom, not going to be able to line up the core with it to be able to take it back in the direction that they need. Crystal Thorns from Grimella trying to hold it up in towards the top side, but Vaughn able to throw through that barrage and take it in towards the barrier. Slash comes through on towards 3 from Bells, but not keeping the core with it. Not going to be able to take it in on towards the barriers yet again. It's Drew resetting up with the Whiplash, trying to take it on over towards that top left barrier, but it's another rush from Bells to open up the goal for his side. It's a KO found there on towards Drew. Bells with the power play, advances forward, slashing strike through, and game number 2 goes to the Sad Boys.
Fluffy Bangers will not have an easy 2-0 this week. If they want it, they will need to take this game number 3 here, which will be on Atlas's Lab, but a dominating performance here from Sad Boys from that first game on Taiko Temple, which was neck and neck. And even these individual points were close, but the overall end result of the set here was looking really, really good here. All 3 sets going over to the way of Sad Boys, but we can see the points there. That is a total of 5 points being brought over to Fluffy Bangers, but they weren't able to get any of that 3rd point that they needed to win the set, to maybe get a little bit advantage in draft. And at the end of the day, a little bit more standard comp working for Sad Boys, as they showed that, hey, Vaughn on Kai, Bells on Zentaro, doing his job, and then of course piloting the Mako in the back, giving that speed, holding it down for as long as possible, was You Already Lose.
Yeah, really nicely done from You Already Lose in that game, and really in both games so far. Was able to hold on for so long in the first game as well, but this time the offense clicks a lot better, a lot faster. Bell's able to show a lot on that Zentaro, gets up to 37k damage, topping the charts there, and a really impressive performance from him to close out game number 2 for the Sad Boys.
Yeah, and going into game number 3, it's all going to depend on what the starting awakenings are, but typically when you have a map like Atlas's Lab, the potential for a KO comp tends to be a little bit more viable. So take a look. If we get something like a Deadeye, Prize Fighter, Spark of Strength start, 1-2 punch start, we will see these teams opting in for a more damage-heavy focus. But without that, take a look at how this previous draft went, where it was a little bit of like a chess game or mind game, playing around who gets the Mako, who gets the Era. And we're going to expect that same type of draft to go in, because the Mako Era composition, especially just in a competitive format, is really powerful. So both teams will be playing around, making sure the full team composition cannot go to one side. So if one team takes the Mako, most likely the Era might get picked up on the other side. Or if it's a damage comp, then they're going to forego that altogether as they aim for one of those compositions instead.
Yep. So Atlas's Lab as the decider, like you said. We'll find out where the priorities are going to lie. Again, I think Sad Boys look like their old selves on a much more traditional composition, so would like to see that run back a little bit here. Maybe no more DUBU shenanigans for the time being, but looking like they are starting to kind of hit their groove a little bit more as we get into game number 3. Meanwhile, though, there were some nice bright points there for the side of the Fluffy Bangers. Would love to see them be able to get back to that as well and have ourselves a close game number 3 the way that we did a very close game number 1.
Yeah, and I want to give props. I feel like Grimella and Drew have been playing a phenomenal forward combination here. Every time I see one of them score, it is either a great setup from Grimella, bringing that core over to Drew with the Estelle both games in a row, and then Drew just doing a great job of using the pendulum swings to score. We saw less of it this game because there was just more pressure on them as players with the Zentaro plus Kai just barraging them down, or the Zentaro abilities, especially once they got that perfect form, making it harder to kind of execute. But one thing that I liked about this composition in general is against the Mako, both Rasmus and Estelle have a great job of securing the shots in, because if Mako is holding down the drum and bass, you can score through or outside of her defensive range, because both Rasmus' pendulum swing reaches from beyond that point, and as well as the piercing shot from Estelle. So they're both characters that work well into Mako. And we kind of saw that played out really well on the Taiko Temple game, and less so here just because of how oppressive the Zentaro Kai duo were.
Definitely. So there's going to be the lock-in for the Mako. Kai going to take a spot as well for the Sad Boys. Looked very good for Vaughn in game number 2, and he's going to be able to reprise his role there. Will they just look to snag the Zentaro again is going to be the question. Do they want to prioritize a particular goalie? They're taking the Era, so they are going to look to secure that one for themselves, and very likely going to be... I mean, I wonder if it's going to be Kai in the goal, given that it's Sad Boys, or if it's going to be a... repeat era goalie this time on the opposite side.
Honestly, that's a great point to pick up. I do think I'm leaning more towards your initial question there. I think Kai will be on the goal box. You already lose is a phenomenal Kai, and then Vaughn himself is a is an amazing era. Yeah. So this is not something that like I think just player wise and comfortability wise on the picks we'll see something along those lines, and it's just gonna come down to what brawler we want to pair alongside of it. Honestly, when it's Era, you might see an Era Julie or an Era X, or maybe less X, maybe more Asher, just based on the strength of the characters right now. So I would be taking a look at one of those two picks as the pickup here for Bells.
Ooh, but a big change of pace here for Fluffy Bangers. Kazan and Juno coming on through for them. So going to be a very different composition coming on across. And there's going to be that Zentaro ran back.
So not opting in to play further into the Era there, but instead we're going to be taking a look at the Zentaro. I'm not sure if he's going to opt in for the Chrono Boost to get that Dash Awakening, or because there are 4 Dash Awakenings in this patch normally, or at least since the conception of the game, we've only ever had 3. We have more access to Dash Awakening, so it's completely fine for Zentaro to leave it out for now. Take the Rapid Fire instead. Opt in for a little bit more damage, and then try to pick up either Super Surge Aerials or Explosive Entrance in a later patch.
Absolutely, here as we are getting into the in-client draft here, getting everything locked on in. We'll find out exactly where these characters are being taken. Gramella on the Juno. Going to be one we haven't gotten to see too much of as of late. And paired on up with Drew's Kazan. So a very interesting comp from them as they look to snag a Game 3 win over the Sad Boys.
Yeah, a strong composition. I would say in terms of pure character strength, it looks a little bit better for Fluffy Bangers here, especially with the Awakening start. But even then, the character strength does not determine the outcome of the game. The players will have to do their best to take it over each other here. Starting off strong, popping the black hole in the middle already as we try to go into the offense. Most teams like to open it up rather than play in a more closed environment here. So you just expect both teams to kind of handshake, explode the middle while they go for an offensive play.
Absolutely here. There's going to be a couple of barriers falling down early on. Bell's already going to find himself fully staggered, and Drew looking with the maddening descent, not quite able to find it. Instead, into the Oni's Blade goes Bells, nearly able to sneak that one into the goal, but will be forced to retreat now at the end. To be able to pick up the orb to get himself back into a healthy position. Vaughn going to use that Flutterfly to give everybody the movement speed that they need, and there is the rush from Bells, picking up the core on the backside and taking it into the goal.
A quick start. We are not seeing overtime on this first point here, as Bells is the one who chooses not to take a Dash Awakening here, going for the Rapid Fire instead. Finds the rush angle, scores the point. He was looking quite low there. Damage coming through, forced to use the elusive on the topspin there from the Kazan as well. Something to keep in mind is that Drew will be able to find KOs off the side if he is quick enough to use that topspin. As someone is trying to pass through one of those side angles there. 1-to-1 in terms of barriers as they fall. Gramella being very close to Energy Burst of himself as Drew tries to find a way in, try to set himself up to get a shot on this net here. And doing an amazing job there. Gets the barrier, gets the core flip, tries to set up. The crooked leverage isn't able to connect there. And now Gramella looking quite low. Might be pressured off of this core flip. But no, both flips coming out. Fudgy Waffles and Gramella using them at the same exact time. Have to go back, retreat, use that health orb to heal back up. And it is Sad Boys who have their barriers wide open as a good shot. I'm not sure if Gramella touched that first, but a good shot from Drew securing that point.
And just poking it in there with the umbrella. Going to be able to score things up at 1-to-1. And already getting that close game we were hoping for here for game number 3. a new look from the Fluffy Bangers for the first time this series, and so far looking like they are being able to execute, although as I say that, Drew just getting absolutely pummeled by the Sad Boys here, manages to get Vaughn low, but will be taken down by the Onis played out of Bells. A power play for the Sad Boys, quickly collapsing in towards the goal here, taking the first of the barriers, but that second will be held onto for a while longer. Bells with the core flip available, bounced off the black hole. There's going to be the push in forward. Bell's going to be able to get himself in perfect position and knocks it through the goal right as it opens up.
A beautiful catch there with the core flip, shooting it as soon as the gold gates open up enough to let it through, not giving anyone any chance to react to it. 2-1 lead in this set. As Sad Boys tries to take advantage first with set number 1 here. Grimella getting hit by the damage of the black hole exploding, already down to a quarter HP, looking for the double shot there as he shoots towards the top from the mill inside. Vaughn using that energy burst, but we still have an offensive going on here from Bells. Uses the Oni's blade to catch the core, shoots it in, passive coming out, slices forward, slice and dice coming through, and that is 3-1 set 1, Gordo.
Bells and Taro's back, baby. I've missed it.
It's back.
And it's real back right now. First pick available. Plenty of options here that look plenty good. Explosive entrance, maybe?
Yep.
Looking for that enhanced dash.
Going in for the extra special instead. I have been seeing him take this more in solo queue. He still has Super Surge up later on. I'm not sure if this is more of a deny from the Mako rather than a choice of the extra special himself. This is something that I think is more of a personal preference for him. But it cannot have gone wrong with the explosive entrance either. And then taking a look at everything else, Fudgy Waffles getting a dash awakening. That's the second one. Keep in mind that these are compounding effects. So already having the chrono boost compounded on with the aerials when you're holding that drum and bass is going to make your forwards go extremely, extremely fast. And then besides that, Drew getting the rampage, getting some sides. As long as he doesn't get KO'd here, the Kazan with size effect is one of the most deadly characters in the entire game.
Absolutely is here and has done such a good job so far of being able to find some good angles here when he actually gets to play the game for a little bit longer, and Bells isn't just getting insta goals off, which has only really been on 2 of the 4 points found thus far, but still plenty to be said for what he's been able to accomplish. Bells, though, look at just take him right off the map. Another beautiful combo from him on the Zentaro, finding himself another KO, and you already lose forced back as Blabos continue to push that core forward. Bells, nice little quick strike, going to be able to push it on through and find that barrier. Drew respawned now, but he's short on the top spin. Bells dashing through, 1 versus 2, takes it home, and it's another point to the Sad Boys.
Does not need a dash awakening at all here as he's getting these KOs left and right, getting the barriers with his strikes, and then scoring the points just fine here. As Bells is doing a phenomenal job. Oh my goodness. A great defense there, but isn't enough. You can see the amount of pressure. Both forwards already falling down to half stagger here as they just have to back off a little bit, giving Sad Boys so much more opportunity to get a better shot on the barrier on net. And on top of that, the Oni's blade being available all the time, that 35-second cooldown, that 40-second cooldown being available at the start of every round, and then on top of that, having an additional CDR of 30% means that Bells can go for KOs, can go for damage way more often.
Yeah, you already lose, has access to the core flip, getting on offense here, but ricocheted back away, a counter flip from Fudgy Waffles will send it into the opposing goal, and maybe a little bit of an overforce there from all you already lose.
I don't mind the aggression. I liked it when Fudgy Waffles was doing it as well on the Atlas on that Taiko Temple game. But it's one of those things where I personally feel it is better to be proactive than reactive here. If you're the one making the play, you'll be rewarded more than you'll be punished for it. And we see a reward for Vaughn as the Maelstrom taking a vertical KO off the top. Drew's gone. No rampage stacks for him. He's just not getting any luck with these at the moment as he comes back in time to help the defense just a little bit here. But a great maneuver, or just maneuvering around the map between all the members of Sad Boys. You already lose coming up, and this is one of the things that Sad Boys does phenomenal. When Vaughn knows he has no abilities, he always tells you already lose to go walk up, use the eject button, just go run up. You have the abilities, you can make the offensive play here. There's no benefit for me being the one up there right now. And this is what happened on the last point. It didn't work out in their favor, but that is what they were going for.
Yeah, that's definitely always been a defining attribute of some of our best teams in the North American Strikers League, is how flexibly you're willing to use that goalie position. to be able to make offensive plays happen. Backfires on You Already Lose on the prior point, but secures it for them in just now. And now, nice dodge there from Bells, evading the ensnare drums from Fudgy Waffles. Now going to set themselves up for another barrier. Not able to take the strike in time, though. Vaughn guiding it in towards the bottom. Falling back away as knows Bells is very low on health.
God, the damage.
Yeah, we'll be able to pick on up those, that orb, and now going to be able to find himself back on the offense, taking that second barrier, opening up the goal. Drew trying to create some offense for himself alongside Gramella. Maddening Descent knocks Bells into the stagger. Now evading those perfect pitches, trying to keep himself alive, swiping back in for some of the damage, but taken down by Drew. A power play available for the Fluffy Bangers as they look to extend this game a little bit longer, try to get themselves a shot at set number 2. Sent back away by Vaughn. You Already Lose, trying to buy time for the respawn, going to use that flip, going to be able to get Bells back onto the field. But it's Vaughn has to get back up towards the top side. Gramella moving in with the Blabo bounce, trying to put the core into position on towards that barrier, but knocked back away by Bells and Vaughn. Oni's Blade sends it over to the left, back into Gramella's hands, sending it back over to You Already Lose, but not able to find their way on towards that barrier. Maddening Descent nearly finds a KO for Drew, but takes him low on health in the process, and Vaughn is still standing. Top spin, goalie is off of the map, and Vaughn gonna have to fall in and play some sub-defense here. Gramella coming in from the bottom, has access to the core flip to be able to push their way through on towards this barrier, gets Bells so incredibly low. Bells falls as the respawn comes through, and the barrier will fall. It's an open goal for the Fluffy Bangers, as here comes Fudgy Waffles looking to push it in there. One more poke from Drew will take us to 2-2, and it's gonna be point number 5 in set number 2.
The momentum of Sad Boys just being so pressuring onto Fudgy Waffles and the entire Fluffy Bangers team, but they are not letting up. Drew finally getting some rampage stacks. Gramella doing a great job of applying pressure with the rapid fire and the slimes coming over and over again. They managed to get the KO after KO, starting off with that top spin KO on Drew, or from Drew, I should say, then leading into a barrier onto the shot eventually that let them get that point, tying things up here. And this is the type of back and forth I love to see between top level teams here in the NASL. Strikers League doing fun. I mean, it gets me so giddy seeing the plays like this. I like it so much more than when we were back in season 1 and season 2 when it was just Sad Boys and Demons Raw demolishing everything. So this is a game that I'm having a great time watching, Gordo.
You watch what you say there, Mystic, because we very well might have a day here where we're just watching Sad Boys and Demons Raw both take wins on our block here, but I completely agree with you, though. This has been a massively close series, and will be a well-deserved win for whoever's able to take it. 2-2 means that we are still neck and neck in this game number 3. Drew going to be able to poke it forward. Opens on up the goal for himself. Shot from back on the left. Not going to be able to find its way into the goal. A barrier going to end up taken down for the Sad Boys as well. Now pushing on for a little bit extra. They're going to be able to take that second barrier and open things on up. The Sad Boys looking to get on into the goal, not able to finish it. And there's going to be the flip coming out of You Already Lose, passed over to Bells. Bells looking to make the play happen 1 versus 2, as he has multiple times already today, but not going to be able to line up for it. Vaughn still trying to fend things back away, prevent the offense from coming on through. Slows down 2 with the Bewitching Beam and shrinks him while he's at it. Drew pokes it back up towards the top. A KO is found, and there's going to be a power play available for Sad Boys. Bells guiding it upwards, pushed away by the drum and bass of Fudgy Waffles. Vaughn going to have access to that core flip, utilizes it, pushes it through. It's 2-0 in sets for the Sad Boys in game number 3.
A wonderful play there. The Oni's Blade coming through, holding the core, holding the clear from Fudgy Waffles as Vaughn sees the opportunity to walk down, core flip it, and shoot it in. But I want to give props to You Already Lose. What a phenomenal defense there on the Kai. He did not let... There were so many hard, very, very small interaction clears that he had to do, especially when Juno blobs are present in that point, that he just managed to do perfectly. And now being rewarded for their play. Actually, it is Fluffy Bangers who managed to get a little bit more of an EXP lead, which allows Drew to be higher than Vaughn here, giving them both Fight or Flight and Perfect Form, which one of them would have been available for Sad Boys instead. But now going down to the last Dash Awakening, the Bells is able to get the Super Surge here. Skipped over 3 of them so far, and this is going to change quite a bit on how everything is played. The rush coming from Zataro is going to do a lot of damage, and this also, remember that the Oni's Blade is considered a dash. It's one of the few abilities in the entire game that isn't a secondary, that is a dash. So that increases the range of that on top of being available 30% more frequently and on kickoff with the extra special.
You already lose moving on forward. Vaughn going to be taking some of these shots in towards the bottom. And in set number 3 here, cannot let off the gas and risk a reverse sweep now. Do not want to let the Fluffy Bangers continue to scale, continue to get some more of these awakenings onto the Kazan. And it's going to be Vaughn looking to push in on towards this bottom barrier. It's going to be Bells dashing on through with the rush. Oni's Blade hitting on a multiple as well. They do finally manage to take that barrier with the ensnare drums, holding the core right in front of the goal, right in front of their eyes, and with a shot to be able to close it out here. Giga Blast connects onto 2. Slice and Dice pushes the core forward. Not able to get its way on into the goal quite yet. Vaughn looking for the reset. You already lose, taking it up on the top side. Bells low on Stagger, but waiting for one more opportunity to be able to push it on in and take a lead in set number 3 for the Sad Boys. 2 goals away at that point from being able to close it out and make the comeback happen, but another rush going to go wide. Another flip comes out of Grimella, trying to hang on, and with the KO, they leave an opening for Vaughn. Sad Boys on the board again.
A perfect shot from Vaughn just above that bottom wall coming through. A perfect vertical or horizontal shot, I mean, as Drew, no more Rampage stacks once again, has to build them back up. And we saw how effective he was when he had a little bit of size on him. It does manage to get 1 right now. It is just a matter of if Drew can get some of the size, the amount of pressure that he has, or the effectiveness of his scoring attempts, it just increases significantly. So it's going to come down to him living quite a bit while also trying to apply pressure, which is a hard thing to do, right? You're trying not to get KO'd. You're trying not to take all this damage here. Every time you go for an attempt when you're getting smacked by a Kai Barrage, a Giga Blast, an Oni, a Rush, anything from the side of Sad Boys is going to do half your stagger bar here. But Drew doing a good job so far. Gets the second barrier here. Grimella doing phenomenal in terms of keeping it up. Fudgy Waffles holding it down as long as he can. Holding down the perfect pitch there. Is able to send it back up. Bell's looking low. Trying to pop that middle barrier there, or the middle Atlas black hole, as the offense coming through. The core flip being used. Unable to get it. Bell's looking quite low. Has the energy burst himself. Uses it defensively. Is able to get it out a little bit. But no, they are not relenting on this offense. Gordo, Drew is coming in, looking for the shot, is able to get it. A little bit of dribble off the top, a little bit of ankles broken there, and finally getting the point, tying things up 1-1.
Fantastically done there by Drew, able to just keep up the pressure and finally sneaks its way through past You Already Lose, and like you said, ties things up here in set number 3. Not going to go quietly, not going to give this one up to the Sad Boys without a fight to the end. And it will be another point coming on through, or another orb, another barrier, whatever the word is. There's only so many things. And Omega Strikers, I'll surely get it right eventually. Drew taking the full brunt of a barrage there from You Already Lose, going to cost him a fair bit of his HP, but he does manage to find the KO on the Bells, and it's a power play now for the Fluffy Bangers. They get themselves forward. They get themselves the second barrier. Grimella set up for a great shot. Drew there on the backup. You Already Lose, guiding it the whole way along and preventing it from making its way into the goal, but it's not done yet. Drew with another shot coming up before too long. The Giga Blast from You Already Lose going to knock him aside. Going to open things up for Vaughn to be able to take it back on over to Bells. He's still holding out of the defense. Crooked Leverage pulls it back in, but Drew still can't get a shot off to be able to take it in for the goal. Grimella waiting back on the left side. Bell's going to come on through with the rush, trying to set himself up for another opportunity on towards the barrier, but it's still stuck onto the top side. You Already Lose going to be able to send it back on down. It's going to be Vaughn waiting on the bottom side. Bells takes another shot. Bells takes a third barrier into the goal, each after the other, and Bells is perfectly set up to take the point for the Sad Boys.
And now we have 2 energy bursts available on each side. Core flips ready to go. 1 defensive, 1 offensive. Grimella starting off the point strong, using that jump to get 1 barrier. Tries to find the second one, isn't able to get it. Drew looking low, has to go up into the sky, be elusive for a little bit as he bides his time here. Has to walk up, take a little bit of a detour to get that health orb. Trying to dodge, bob and weave his way in while maintaining these stacks. He has 4 stacks of Rampage. He's doing a pretty good job in terms of the size economy here, and Vaughn looking a little bit low. Has no elusive available, but does have quite a bit of movement speed between the chrono boost. I spoke too soon. Vaughn taking a little bit of trip. 10 seconds left as he comes back from the afterlife here, as Fluffy Bangers looks for an opportunity to break the second barrier here, has the 3v2 advantage. Fudgy Waffles walking up to the midfield line. I love the aggression coming through, but the KO returned on the defense. They get 1 barrier, but they lose a member. As I say that, the energy burst coming through from Fudgy Waffles gets a return KO, and now we are once again in a 2v2 situation as both members of, or both brawlers of each team try to return here. Drew, the first one to come back, and now offense going strong. Bell's coming in with a rush, is able to get an Oni's blade off, but a good defense lets one barrier live for just a little bit longer as we return the favor onto the other side. Is it going to go in? No. Good save from You Already Lose. Giga Blast coming through to clear it out. Bell's looking for the passive to get in, but no. Drew finding it, has no more stacks of Rampage, but he doesn't need any of that as he gets the point to bring things up to 2-2, try to survive a little bit longer in this final game.
Passes it right through. We are going to 0.5 in set number 3. Sad Boys with a win here can close out the game and the series to move themselves up to 1-1 in NASL Season 5. Fluffy Bangers can keep this game and this series going with a score here. They've already taken both of the barriers. They are going to be able to get some shots on goal. Knocked back away by You Already Lose. The Blabos waiting in white, but not going to be able to get themselves quite into position. Not going to be able to take that game-winning shot. It's going to be Bells moving back on up towards the top side. Has access to the flip. Flip going to come out of Grimella first. Sent in towards the black hole. Detonates it and moves back into the hands of Bells and Vaughn. Both core flips available. Flips available across the board for every member of Sad Boys, but Bells, or rather Vaughn, is taken down with it still available. He's going to be not on the map for the foreseeable future. Just a couple seconds left to go. Drew going to take it on towards the bottom side. Try to push it past You Already Lose. Top spin not going to connect onto the core. Still fighting for it inside the ensnare drums. Vaughn going to guide it in towards the bottom as Bells rejoins with the rush. Bounced off the black hole. Knocked aside his Bells. Nearly taken out by Fudgy. Drew going to finish the job with a top spin and gets a power play back to the Fluffy Bangers as they look to close out the set and keep this game moving. It's going to be Fudgy Waffles sending it in with the perfect pitch. Drew waiting inside the goal arc. Magical Maelstrom finds a KO for Vaughn and opens an opportunity back for the Sad Boys to close the series out here. Oni's blade coming in, bouncing it off the bottom. Vaughn moving forward with access to the energy burst. Second barrier falls. You Already Lose. Sends it back up towards the top of the flip coming out of Vaughn, passing it over to Bells. And the shot from Vaughn is enough on its own. Ricochets off the bottom and takes a win for the Sad Boys.
The amount of defense that had to happen, the amount of KOs that happened onto Sad Boys, but never relenting, never holding down until they found an opportunity. There was a 2-barrier advantage, a man advantage, an energy burst advantage for Fluffy Bangers on that last point, but it did not matter. There's something about the locked in that happens when You Already Loses on this guy. He does not let up. I am watching him weave his way, weave these strikes through Drew, through Grimella, to find some sort of path out of these offensive attempts. You should see how long he holds onto his energy burst before being forced to use it, and holds on long enough for the members of Sad Boys to return, never feeling any doubt that they were going to lose that point, and a 3-0 lead, or a 3-set win for this game. Both of the last 2 games were 3-set wins. With how close, I mean, the score doesn't tell the whole story. With how close everything was, what a phenomenal performance from both teams. Taking game number 1 here, Fluffy Bangers onto Sad Boys. It was absolutely amazing. I mean, what a great series. Both teams should be happy. It went pretty much neck and neck. This is a top team on either side, and a battle that I can't wait to see maybe replayed down the line in playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, what a long series that was, and we still got one more coming on up for you and I, Mystic. It's going to be Demon's Raw up against Return to Form. We're going to throw it to a quick break here while we get everybody into position for that one, because it should be coming on up in pretty short order.
Yep.